The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched higher than any cathedral on Earth. Kang Deho stood in the center of the circular floor, his hands bound behind his back with energy restraints that hummed softly. Above him, 47 species sat in their elevated seats looking down at the human-like judges from ancient times. Park Ji-woo watched from the visitors' gallery, her hands gripping the rail so hard her knuckles turned white. She had worked with Kang Deho for 3 years. He taught her everything about dealing with aliens. He was patient, kind, and always followed the rules. Now they were going to kill him for saving a child's life. The Vrelian High Speaker rose from his seat. His species looked like massive crabs with too many eyes. His voice came through the translation device as cold and formal. The human Kang Deho violated Protocol 7. He touched a Vrelian elder without permission. This is a crime of the highest order. The penalty is death. Kang Deho's voice was steady when he spoke. The child was drowning in the ceremonial pool. Your elder was closest. I touched his arm to get his attention so he could help. I saved a life. Protocol is absolute, the Vrelian said. Ignorance is not an excuse. Your species was given the full legal codes when you joined this council 15 years ago. Park Ji-woo wanted to scream. She wanted to tell them all how stupid and cruel they were, but she stayed quiet. Kang Deho had told her to observe and record everything. She had a hidden recording device in her jacket. It was illegal, but she did not care anymore. The vote began. Each species cast their decision. Blue lights meant death. Green lights meant mercy. The board lit up mostly blue. 43 blue lights, only 4 green. Park Ji-woo felt sick to her stomach. Kang Deho looked up at the gallery and found her eyes. He smiled a little and nodded once. It was his way of saying goodbye. It was his way of telling her to be strong. The execution platform rose from the floor. It was a simple metal circle with strange symbols carved into it. 2 guards led Kang Deho onto the platform. He did not fight. He did not beg. He stood straight and proud. Any final words? The Vrelian High Speaker asked. Kang Deho looked around at all the alien faces. You call yourselves civilized. You call yourselves advanced. But you murder a man for trying to save a child. My people will remember this. They will remember what you are. The Vrelian activated the device. White light surrounded Kang Deho. His body began to shimmer and fade. The molecular disintegration took 30 seconds. Park Ji-woo watched every second. She burned the image into her memory. When it was over, there was nothing left, not even ashes. The council chamber emptied quickly after that. Park Ji-woo sat alone in the gallery for a long time. Her communicator buzzed. It was a message from Earth. The United Government wanted her to return immediately. She stood up and walked out of the chamber. She would never come back to this place. The journey home took 2 weeks through the jump gates. Park Ji-woo did not sleep much. She kept watching the recording over and over. When her ship finally reached Earth orbit, she saw something she had never seen before. The entire defense fleet was assembled. Hundreds of ships in perfect formation. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo met her at the landing pad. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in every major human conflict for 40 years. You have the recording? He asked. Park Ji-woo handed him the data chip. Everything, from the moment they arrested him until the end. Good. Come with me. The government wants to hear your report. The emergency session was held in the deep bunker beneath Geneva. Every major leader on Earth was there. The president, the military commanders, the chief scientists, and representatives from every nation. Park Ji-woo told them everything. Then they watched the recording. The room was silent when it finished. The president was a woman named Kim Sumin. She had kind eyes, but now they were filled with cold anger. They gave us 48 hours to accept their judgment. If we refuse, they will blockade Earth. No trade, no travel, no communication with the rest of the galaxy. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo stood up. We cannot accept this. If we bow to them now, they will walk over us forever. We will be slaves, not equals. But if we fight, we might lose everything. another leader said. They have hundreds of worlds. They have technology beyond ours. They have been united for thousands of years. Dr. Yoon Mirai spoke up. She was the head of the Xenotechnology Division. We have been studying their technology for 15 years. We have learned much. We have also been preparing for this possibility. Everyone looked at her in surprise. What do you mean? The president asked. We knew this day might come, Dr. Yoon said. Humans are different from them. We think differently. We fight differently. We have been building weapons and ships in secret. Not many, but enough to make them hurt. Lee Sora added her voice. She was the intelligence director. I have contacts among the minor council species. Many of them hate the elder species. They are treated like servants. If we fight, some of them might help us. The debate went on for hours. Some wanted peace, some wanted war, some wanted to wait and negotiate. But in the end, they took a vote. It was not even close. Humanity would not submit. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo was given emergency war powers. Every military base on Earth and Mars and the moon colonies went to full alert. The civilian population was not told yet. There was no need to cause panic. The deadline came. The Galactic Council waited for Earth's response. They expected humans to apologize and accept the judgment. They expected submission. Instead, they received a single transmission. It was broadcast on every frequency and every language. The message was simple. Just one word. No. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo stood in the command center and looked at the star map. Red dots showed Council territory. Blue dots showed human territory. There were so many more red dots, but he was not afraid. Send the activation code to all our hidden assets, he ordered. Begin Operation Scorpion. Show them what happens when you kill a human diplomat. Across the galaxy, in dozens of systems, human sleeper agents received their orders. Ships that had been disguised as cargo vessels powered up their weapons. Soldiers who had been posing as civilians picked up their guns. The war had begun. Park Ji-woo watched from the command center. She thought about Kang Daeho's last words. My people will remember this. She whispered to herself, we will more than remember. We will make them pay. Captain Bae Taejin sat in the dark cockpit of his ship. The Soul's Vengeance was a stealth frigate that did not exist on any official records. His crew of 40 had trained for 3 years for this mission. They had practiced the attack run 500 times in simulation. Now it was real. Distance to target? He asked quietly. 2 million kilometers, his navigator replied. Vrelian orbital stations are directly ahead. They still have not detected us. The Vrelians had 12 major stations orbiting their homeworld. Each one was a fortress and a shipyard combined. They built their warships there. They stored their weapons there. They thought they were safe. Bae Taejin smiled without humor. All ships, this is Vengeance Lead. Proceed to attack positions. Remember, hit fast and disappear. Do not stay to fight. Our goal is maximum damage with minimum risk. 6 more stealth frigates appeared on his tactical display. They had been traveling together but spread out to avoid detection. Human stealth technology was better than anything the Council had. The aliens never suspected that humans would be so good at hiding. Weapons ready, his tactical officer said. Thunderclap generators are charged. The Thunderclap generators were Han Min-seok's masterpiece. The crazy engineer had spent 5 years developing them. They sent out a pulse that disrupted the exotic matter fields that made faster-than-light travel possible. Any ship caught in the pulse would be stranded, unable to run, unable to call for help quickly. Fire the thunderclap, Bae Taejin ordered. The invisible pulse spread out like a wave. It covered the entire system in seconds. On every Vrelian ship and station, alarms began screaming. Their FTL drives went offline. Their communication relays that used FTL signals went silent. They were cut off. Now hit them, Bae Taejin said. The 7 stealth frigates opened fire at the same time. Missiles and kinetic rounds slammed into the orbital stations. The Vrelians had shields, but they were designed to stop frontal assaults. The human weapons came from unexpected angles. They targeted weak points that only showed up in stolen technical documents. The first station exploded in a ball of fire. The second lost power and began tumbling. The third launched fighters, but Quan Ariam was waiting for them. Quan Ariam was 26 years old and the best pilot in the human fleet. Her call sign was Reaper. She earned it in combat simulations by destroying entire squadrons without taking a hit. Now she led a wing of 30 fighters against the confused Vrelian defense. "Break by pairs," she ordered. "Use the stations as cover. They will not shoot at their own structures." The human fighters moved like angry wasps. They dodged and weaved in patterns that made no sense to the Vrelians. Alien combat doctrine was based on formations and coordinated fire. Humans just made chaos and used it as a weapon. Quan Ariam locked onto a Vrelian heavy fighter. It was bigger and more powerful than her ship, but it was also slower. She came, at it from below, fired a burst, and rolled away before it could return fire. The Vrelian exploded. "Splash one," she said calmly. "Who wants next?" Her wing tore through the Vrelian fighters in minutes. The aliens could not adapt fast enough. Every time they tried to form up, the humans scattered and attacked from a new direction. It was not honorable combat. It was murder. Back on Earth, Lim Chaewon watched the battle through the data feeds. She was a PSYOP specialist. Her job was to turn victories into propaganda. As soon as the first station exploded, she began broadcasting. Every alien network received the same message. It showed the recording of Kang Daeho's execution. Then it showed the burning Vrelian stations. Then a simple message in hundreds of languages. "You murdered our diplomat. We do not forgive. We do not forget. This is only the beginning." The message went out on civilian networks, military networks, news networks. The council tried to block it, but Lim Chaewon had been a corporate hacker before the war. She knew every backdoor and exploit. The message spread everywhere. On dozens of council worlds, people watched in shock. Many had never heard about the execution. The council kept such things quiet. Now they saw the truth. They saw a human die for saving a child. They saw the arrogance of the elder species. Some felt sympathy. Some felt fear. The council emergency session was chaos. 47 species shouting at each other in dozens of languages. The Vrelians demanded immediate military response. The peaceful species called for negotiation. The military species argued about tactics. Nobody could agree on anything. The council had maintained peace through strict rules and traditions. But those rules assumed everyone would follow them. Humans did not care about the rules anymore. The Vrelian High Speaker finally restored order. "The humans have attacked our homeworld. This cannot stand. We must respond with overwhelming force." "With what?" asked a small mammalian species representative. "Your FTL drives are disabled. Your stations are burning. The humans hit you and vanished. You do not even know where they went." "Then we will hunt them down," the Vrelian said. "We will destroy Earth itself if we must." "That would make you worse than them," said another voice. It was a species that looked like tall birds. "Perhaps we should have shown mercy to their diplomat. Perhaps this is our fault." The Vrelian's eyes all focused on the bird-like alien. "Are you defending the humans?" "I am saying we created this situation. We executed their representative over a minor protocol violation. What did we expect would happen?" The argument erupted again. The council was fracturing. Some species wanted total war. Some wanted peace. Some wanted to wait and see. The unity that had lasted thousands of years was cracking. Admiral Choi Hyun-woo received the after-action reports in his command center. 12 Vrelian stations destroyed or disabled. 300 Vrelian ships trapped in system without FTL. Only 2 human fighters lost. 0 capital ships damaged. "It is a good start," he said. "But we cannot stop now." "Lisora, what is the council's response?" Lisora pulled up the intelligence reports. "They are divided. The Vrelians want revenge. Many other species are questioning whether the war is justified. We have an opportunity here. Then we press it," the admiral said. "Send orders to all our hidden assets. Begin Phase 2. Hit supply convoys. Sabotage shipyards. Make them afraid to travel their own space," Park Ji-woo spoke up. She had been promoted to intelligence director after proving herself with the recording. "Sir, we are receiving communications from several minor council species. They want to talk secretly." "About what?" "About helping us. About leaving the council. They see weakness and want to exploit it." Admiral Choi Hyun-woo nodded slowly. "Open channels. But be careful. It could be a trap." "Understood. But I think some of them are genuine. The council has made many enemies over the centuries. We are not alone in hating them." Across the galaxy, human agents began their work. Ships exploded mysteriously in dock. Convoys disappeared without a trace. Automated defense platforms suddenly went offline. The Council had never faced an enemy that used sabotage and guerrilla warfare. They did not know how to respond. On Earth, the civilian population finally learned the truth. The government could not hide a war. The news showed the execution. It showed the burning stations. It showed Admiral Choi Hyun-woo explaining why they had to fight. There was anger. There was fear. But there was also determination. Humanity had been bullied and now they were fighting back. Factories converted to military production. Volunteers lined up at recruitment centers. Everyone wanted to help. Captain Betal brought his ship home after the mission. His crew was exhausted but proud. They had struck the first real blow. As he docked at the hidden military station, he saw the words someone had painted on the hangar wall. For Kang Dae-ho. For humanity. Forever. He touched his hand to his heart in salute. The war had only just begun. 3 years had passed since the execution. Nam Ji-ho knelt in the mud behind a broken wall and tried to catch his breath. Explosions shook the ground nearby. The Council forces were bombing the refugee camp again. They did not care that only civilians were there. Nam Ji-ho had been a farmer before the war. He grew rice on Arcturus 7, a human colony world far from Earth. It was peaceful, quiet. Then the Council fleet arrived and everything changed. They said the humans had to leave or die. Most people tried to evacuate. 2 million did not make it. Now Nam Ji-ho led what was left of the resistance. 300 fighters with stolen weapons and homemade bombs. They made the Council forces pay for every street, every building, every meter of ground. The aliens had the ships and the guns, but the humans had rage. How many did we lose? He asked his second-in-command. 15. The bombing hit the south shelter. Nam Ji-ho closed his eyes. 15 more names to remember. 15 more families destroyed. He was 44 years old and felt like he was 90. We need to hit back tonight, the supply depot on the east side. That is suicide. They doubled the guards after our last raid. I know. But if we do not fight, they think they have won. We keep fighting until Earth sends help or we are all dead. On Earth, Dr. Shin Yuna worked in a sealed laboratory deep underground. She was a biologist before the war. Now she made weapons. Not bombs or guns. Something more subtle. Something that could hurt aliens without killing humans. She looked at the samples through her microscope. Earth had millions of bacteria and viruses that had evolved for billions of years. Alien immune systems had never encountered them. Some were harmless to aliens, but some made them very sick. This strain looks promising, she said to her assistant. It causes severe respiratory distress in Vrelians but does not affect humans at all. Is it lethal? The assistant asked. No, that is the point. We want them unable to fight, not dead. Dead enemies make martyrs. Sick enemies make problems. Shin Yuna had argued with the military about this for months. They wanted killer plagues. She refused. If humans used biological weapons that killed millions, they would be no better than the Council. But making the enemy too sick to fight? That was acceptable. The biological agents were deployed carefully. Human agents released them in Council military bases and ship ventilation systems. Within weeks, whole battalions were in medical bay. The Council had to pull forces from the front lines to replace the sick. Captain Go Seung-woo commanded a convoy of 20 civilian ships. His job was to evacuate human colonies before the Council arrived. It was a terrible job. He had to choose who got to escape and who had to stay. There was never enough room for everyone. His ship, the Bright Morning, was designed to carry 200 passengers. Right now it held 800. People were packed into every space. The air recyclers could barely keep up. Children cried. Adults tried to stay calm and failed. Captain, we are getting distress calls from New Seoul Colony. His communications officer said. Council fleet will arrive in 6 hours. They are begging for evacuation. Go Seung-woo looked at the star map. New Seoul was 3 days away at best speed. We cannot reach them in time. They know. They just wanted to say goodbye. The captain felt the weight of every death pressing on his shoulders. In 3 years, he had saved 30 million people. But he had been forced to leave behind twice that many. Every night he saw their faces in his dreams. Send them a message. Tell them Earth remembers them. Tell them we will avenge them. Ryu Hee-jin sat in a dark meeting room on a neutral trading station. Across from her were representatives from 7 minor council species. They were taking a huge risk by talking to her. If the council found out, they would be executed. We can provide you with fleet movements, said a reptilian diplomat. Our people maintain the navigation beacons. We see everything. Why help us? Ryuhijin asked. What do you gain? Freedom, said another alien, a small furry creature. The elder species treat us like servants, like children. We have been part of the council for 1,000 years and we still have no real voice. You humans refuse to bow. That gives us hope. Ryuhijin had been a negotiator for a mining corporation before the war. She knew how to read people, even alien people. These beings were genuine. They were tired of being oppressed. If we win, things will be different, she promised. No more elder species ruling over others. Everyone equal. If you win, the reptilian said. That is a very big if. We will win because we have to. Humans do not know how to quit. Back on Earth, Admiral Choi Hyunwoo studied the casualty reports. 3 years of war, 15 million humans dead, hundreds of colonies destroyed or occupied. The economy was completely focused on military production. There were no luxuries anymore. Everyone sacrificed, but the council had lost more. Their casualty numbers were higher. Their economy was straining. Member species were arguing constantly. Some wanted to negotiate peace. Others wanted to exterminate humanity completely. Park Ji-woo entered his office. She looked tired. Everyone looked tired these days. Sir, we need to talk about your health. I am fine, the Admiral said. You had a heart attack last month. The doctors say you need to rest. I will rest when the war is over. That might be years from now. Then I will rest in the grave. I will not abandon my post while humans are dying. Park Ji-woo knew better than to argue. The Admiral was stubborn. It was why the President gave him command. He would never surrender, never compromise, never stop fighting. The Council sent another peace offer, she said instead. What do they want? We pull back to Earth's solar system. We give up all colonies. We pay reparations. They promise not to attack us anymore. In other words, they want us to surrender and be prisoners in our own system. Yes, sir. Send them our response. No peace until the Council is dissolved. No peace until those responsible for Kang Daeho's murder face justice. No peace until all species are equal. They will never accept those terms, I know. Then the war continues. On Arcturus 7, Nam Ji-ho and his resistance fighters crept through the darkness toward the supply depot. The guards were ready for them this time. Spotlights swept across the open ground. Automated guns tracked for movement. This is crazy, one of his fighters whispered. Yes, Nam Ji-ho agreed, but we do it anyway. For those who cannot fight. For those who died. For Earth, they attacked at midnight. Half of his fighters died in the first 30 seconds, but the other half made it through. They planted bombs in the fuel storage tanks and the ammunition bunkers. The explosions lit up the night sky for miles. Nam Ji-ho escaped with 47 survivors. They lost more than half their force. But the Council base would not be able to launch operations for weeks. It was worth it. Every small victory was worth it. Dr. Yoon Mirai finally cracked the secret of Council shield technology. It took 3 years of studying captured equipment. 3 years of testing and failure. But now she understood how it worked. More importantly, she knew how to defeat it. We can build weapons that phase through their shields, she explained to the military commanders. It will not be easy. It will be expensive, but it will work. How long to build them? Admiral Choi Hyunwoo asked. 6 months for prototypes. A year for mass production. Make it happen. This could change everything. Across the galaxy, humanity was losing territory but winning battles. They could not hold every colony. They did not have enough ships or soldiers. But every time the Council thought they had won, humans would strike back from nowhere. Bases would explode. Ships would disappear. Supply lines would be cut. The Council started calling humans ghosts. They appeared, killed, and vanished. No honor, no rules, no mercy. Park Ji-woo broadcast another message to all Council worlds. It showed the destroyed colonies, the dead civilians, the children who would never grow up. This is what you fight for, the message said. Oppression, murder, tyranny. Is this what you want to be remembered for? Some Council species started to listen. Some started to question. Song Junho was only 29 years old, but he commanded an entire battle group. He earned his rank the hard way, through victories when other commanders failed. His new tactical doctrine was changing how humanity fought the war. Swarm tactics, he called it. Instead of massive fleets fighting in formation, he used hundreds of small ships attacking from every direction at once. The Council could not defend against attacks coming from above, below, and all sides simultaneously, their computer systems overloaded trying to track so many targets. "All ships begin the attack run," he ordered. "Remember, constant movement. Never stay still. Never let them predict your next position." His fleet of 300 light cruisers and frigates swept toward the Council defense line. The enemy had twice as many ships, but they fought the old way. Rigid formations. Predictable movements. Song Joon-ho's forces tore through them like piranhas attacking a shark. Every ship captain had freedom to make their own decisions. No waiting for orders from command. No slow coordination. Just pure aggressive chaos. Within 2 hours, the Council line broke. Their ships retreated in disorder. "Pursue, but do not overextend," Song Joon-ho said. "Hit and fade. We are not here to occupy territory. We are here to destroy their will to fight." Deep in an asteroid base, Baek Soyeon stared at her computer screens. She was 31 and had been a corporate hacker before the war. Now she broke into Council military networks and stole their secrets. Every encryption, every firewall, every security protocol eventually fell to her patient attacks. "I am in their command network," she announced to her team. "They are planning a major offensive. 600 ships. Target is the Mars shipyards." Her supervisor immediately contacted Admiral Choi Hyun-woo. "Sir, we have 72 hours warning. The Council is going to hit Mars." The Admiral did not hesitate. "Evacuate all non-essential personnel. Deploy the defensive fleet. Prepare the surprise we have been building." The surprise was a weapons platform that had taken 2 years to construct. It was hidden in the asteroid belt disguised as mining equipment. It mounted 50 of Dr. Yoon Murray's new phase-through weapons. When the Council fleet arrived, it would be a massacre. The Council ships came exactly on schedule. 600 warships dropped out of FTL near Mars. They expected light resistance. Earth's main fleet was supposed to be 3 systems away. Instead, they found 200 human ships waiting, and the weapons platform coming online. The phase-through weapons ignored the Council's shields completely. Energy beams passed through the protective fields and struck the ships' hulls directly. The first volley destroyed 90 ships before they could react. The second volley took out 70 more. The Council fleet commander tried to retreat, but Song Joon-ho's battle group arrived from behind. The enemy was trapped between 2 human forces. It was over in 4 hours. 500 Council ships destroyed. Only 100 escaped. Earth lost 19 ships. It was the biggest human victory of the war. News of the battle spread through the galaxy in days. The Council was not invincible. They could be beaten. On Arcturus 7, Commander John Woo-jin landed with 5,000 Marines. Their mission was to liberate the occupied colony. The Council forces had held the world for 3 years. They thought they were safe. They were wrong. John Woo-jin was 42 and had fought in every major ground campaign of the war. He knew the Council's tactics. They relied on superior firepower and air support. Take those away and their soldiers were not that dangerous. First priority is taking out their aircraft, he told his officers. Without air cover, their ground forces will panic. Human fighters swept in low and fast. They destroyed the Council's aircraft on the ground before they could take off. Then John Woo-jin's Marines attacked from multiple directions. Urban warfare. Building to building. Room to room. The kind of fighting where human aggression and adaptability mattered more than superior technology. Nam Ji-ho and his resistance fighters joined the attack. They knew every street, every building, every hiding place. They led the Marines through tunnels and sewers to appear behind enemy lines. The Council soldiers found themselves surrounded and cut off. "Surrender and you will be treated fairly," John Woo-jin broadcast to the enemy forces. "Fight and you will die here." Most of the Council soldiers surrendered. They were not cowards. They were just tired of dying for a war they did not understand. When the last enemy strongpoint fell, Nam Ji-ho stood in the central square and wept. His home was free again. Oh Hae-won was a war correspondent who traveled with the military forces. She was 36 and had documented both sides of the conflict. She recorded the human suffering in occupied colonies. She also recorded Council war crimes when their soldiers executed prisoners or bombed civilian targets. Her broadcast went out on networks across the galaxy. She showed the truth without propaganda. When Council forces committed atrocities, she showed it. When human forces crossed the line, she showed that too. Her honesty made her trusted by viewers everywhere. The Council says they fight for civilization. she reported from the ruins of a bombed hospital. But civilized people do not bomb hospitals. Civilized people do not execute wounded prisoners. Civilized people do not target children. What I have seen here is not civilization, it is barbarism wearing a noble mask. Her reports caused political storms on council worlds. Citizens who had supported the war started questioning why. Protests erupted on a dozen planets. The council's propaganda could not compete with raw footage of their own crimes. 12 council species formally withdrew from the war. They announced they would no longer send forces to fight humanity. The elder species were furious but could not force them to fight. The council was fracturing. Admiral Choi Hyunwoo died on a Tuesday morning. His heart finally gave out after 5 years of constant stress and long hours. He was 71 years old. He died at his desk reviewing battle plans. His last words were instructions for the defense of the outer colonies. The funeral was attended by millions. Every human in the fleet observed a moment of silence. The president gave a speech honoring his service. Park Ji-woo stood by his casket and thought about all the times he refused to rest. He had given everything for humanity's survival. Song Joon-ho was promoted to Supreme Commander. He was young for such responsibility, but he had proven himself in battle after battle. His first order was to launch a new offensive. The council was weakening. It was time to push harder. "We have been fighting defensively for 5 years," he told his commanders. "Now we take the fight to them. Now we win." Human fleets began capturing council territory for the first time. Worlds that had been under alien control for thousands of years suddenly found human ships in orbit. But Song Joon-ho did not conquer them. He liberated them. "We are not here to rule you," his forces broadcast to the populations. "We are here to end the council's tyranny. Join us or stay neutral. We will not force you." Many of the minor species joined humanity. They had been oppressed by the elder species for so long. Now they saw a chance for freedom. The war became not just humans versus the council, but a revolution spreading across the galaxy. Dr. Yoon Mirai developed better ships, better weapons, better defenses. The technology gap between humanity and the council disappeared. In some areas, humans were now superior. The aliens who had looked down on Earth as primitive were learning a hard lesson. Park Ji-woo received a secret message. 15 council species wanted to negotiate peace, not the elder species. They would never surrender. But the others were tired of war. They wanted a new order. "Are they sincere?" Song Joon-ho asked. "I think so. They see which way the wind is blowing. They want to be on the winning side. Set up a meeting. Neutral territory. But keep it secret. If the elder species find out, they will kill the negotiators." The meeting took place on a remote station. Representatives from the 15 species met with Park Ji-woo and Ryu Hee-jin. They talked for days about what would come after the war. "The old council must end," Ryu Hee-jin said. "No more elder species ruling over everyone else. All species equal." All voices heard. The aliens agreed. They had learned that lesson. Arrogance and tyranny had brought them to this point. A new system was needed. The war was not over yet. The elder species still fought. But the end was coming. 8 years after Kang Dae-ho's execution, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The mighty council that had ruled for millennia was broken and scattered. General Song Joon-ho stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the final battle unfold. The Vrelian homeworld was defended by 300 ships. It was all they had left. Once they commanded fleets of thousands, now they made their last stand while their civilians evacuated below. Song Joon-ho almost felt sorry for them. Almost. "Sir, they are requesting negotiations," his communications officer said. "What do they offer?" "Complete surrender." "They want terms," Song Joon-ho considered. He was 34 now. He had spent his entire adult life at war. Part of him wanted to crush them completely, to make them pay for every human death. But that was not justice. That was revenge. Hold fire. Send them our terms. Unconditional surrender. War crimes trials for those responsible for murdering Kang Dae-ho and killing civilians. Reparations to be determined. They keep their homeworld but give up all military forces beyond system defense. The Vrelians accepted within an hour. They had no choice. Their people were starving. Their economy was destroyed. Fighting would only mean complete extinction. Similar scenes played out across council space. The elder species who had started the war were defeated one by one. Some surrendered. Some fought to the bitter end and were destroyed. The minor species who had secretly helped humanity were spared and welcomed as allies. Park Ji-woo led the Earth delegation to the peace conference. It was held on a neutral world chosen by all sides. She was 38 now and had seen more death than she ever imagined possible. The young aide who watched her mentor die had become one of humanity's most important leaders. "We are here to build something new," she told the assembled representatives, "not to punish the defeated, not to rule over others as the council once did. We are here to create real peace, fair peace." The negotiations took 6 months. Every species had demands. Every species had grievances. Earth insisted on several non-negotiable terms. The old council structure was dissolved completely. No species would have permanent authority over others. All would be equal in the new Galactic Assembly. Those responsible for Kang Daeho's murder and the war crimes committed during the 8 years of fighting would face trial. There would be no immunity for the powerful. Justice would be blind. The trials were held on Earth. Judges from a dozen species presided. Human prosecutors presented evidence. The defendants had lawyers and the right to defend themselves. It was fair. More fair than Kang Daeho had received. The Vrelian High Speaker who ordered the execution was found guilty. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, not death. Humanity would not become executioners like the Council had been. Others received similar sentences. Some minor functionaries were acquitted. The trials were honest. Nam Jiho gave testimony about the occupation of Arcturus 7. He described the bombing of refugee camps, the execution of prisoners, the systematic destruction of human settlements. The courtroom was silent as he spoke. Even the defense attorneys looked ashamed. "We were treated like animals," Namgyo said. "Like our lives meant nothing. 2 million people died on my world. I want the galaxy to remember them, to know that this must never happen again." Lee Sora was appointed as the first director of interstellar relations for the new assembly. She was 41 and had spent the entire war building bridges with alien species who wanted change. Now she oversaw cultural exchange programs designed to prevent future conflicts. "We cannot erase 8 years of war overnight," she said in her first speech. "People on all sides have lost loved ones. There is anger. There is pain. But we can choose to learn from this horror. We can choose to build understanding instead of walls." Universities across the galaxy began exchange programs. Human students studied on alien worlds. Alien students came to Earth. Artists collaborated. Scientists shared research. Slowly, carefully, trust began to rebuild. Lim Chaewon coordinated with reformist groups on former council worlds. Her PsyOps expertise was now used for reconciliation instead of warfare. She helped craft messages that promoted healing rather than continued hatred. "The old leaders lied to you," her broadcast said. "They told you humans were barbarians, savages. But look at what we build together. Look at the peace we create." The old ways brought only death. The new way brings hope. General Song Junho formally dissolved the emergency war powers and returned control to civilian government. Earth had been on a military footing for 8 years. Now it was time to rebuild normal society. Factories converted from weapons production back to civilian goods. Soldiers returned home to their families. Song Junho himself retired from the military at age 35. He had no interest in political power. He had done what was necessary to win the war. Now others could manage the peace. He moved to a small farm on Mars and tried to forget the things he had seen. The new Galactic Assembly met for the first time on a purpose-built station. Every species sent representatives. The station was designed so no one sat higher than anyone else. No species was elder. No species was lesser. All were equal. The first order of business was adopting the Kang Daeho protocols. These were rules protecting diplomats, prisoners, and civilians during conflicts. They established standards for humane treatment that all species had to follow. Any species that violated the protocols would face immediate sanctions. "We name these rules for the man whose death started this terrible war," Park Ji-woo said during the ceremony. "Let his sacrifice be remembered. Let it mean something. Let no other diplomat die because they tried to save a life." A memorial was built on Earth for the 50 million humans who died in the war. It was a simple black wall with every name carved into it. Families came to touch the names of their loved ones, to remember, to grieve. General Song Junho placed the first wreath at the memorial. It sat at the base of a statue of Kang Dae-ho. The statue showed him as he was in life. Calm, dignified, principled. The inscription read, "He saved one life and refused to apologize. We fought for 8 years and refused to surrender." Park Ji-woo stood beside the memorial and thought about everything that had happened. She was the last survivor of those who witnessed the execution. All the others had died in the war. She had outlived them all. Sometimes she wondered why. A reporter asked her for a statement. Park Ji-woo looked at the wall of names and spoke carefully. They thought executing one man would make us submit. They thought killing our diplomat would show us that we had to follow their rules. They did not understand humans at all. They did not know that we protect our own, even in death. They did not know we would turn the galaxy upside down for justice. Now they know. Now everyone knows. "Do you think the peace will last?" the reporter asked. "I do not know. Peace is harder than war. War just needs courage and strength. Peace needs patience, forgiveness, and constant work. But we will try. We owe it to those who died to try." Across the galaxy, the scars of war slowly healed. Trade resumed. Travel became safe again. Children who grew up during the fighting learned about peace for the first time. It would take generations to fully recover. Maybe it would never be complete. But the galaxy was different now. The old order of elder species ruling over lesser ones was gone. Democracy and equality were spreading, not just for humans, but for all species who had been oppressed. On Arcturus 7, Nam Ji-ho returned to farming. He was 52 now and tired. His resistance fighters had scattered, returning to their old lives. Some became politicians, some became teachers, some just wanted to be left alone. He planted rice in the same fields where he had fought for 3 years. The land had been poisoned by the bombing. It took 5 years of cleanup to make it fertile again. But now things grew. Life returned. A young child asked him what the war was like. Nam Ji-ho thought about how to answer. He could tell stories of heroic battles. He could describe the victories, but that was not the truth. "War is terrible," he said finally. "It destroys everything good and beautiful. We fought because we had no choice, because the alternative was slavery. But never think war is glorious. Never think it is anything but a last resort when all else fails." "But we won," the child said. "Yes, we won. And 50 million people died so we could win. Remember them, honor them, but pray you never have to make the same choice." Dr. Yoon Mirai returned to pure research. She had spent 8 years making weapons. Now she wanted to build things that helped people instead of killed them. She worked on medical technology, environmental restoration, and faster-than-light communications that would connect the galaxy better. Her work helped heal some of the damage the war caused. Not just physical damage, but the emotional scars. When people saw human technology being used to help instead of harm, it changed their perception. Park Ji-woo served as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Assembly for 10 years. Then she retired and wrote a book about the war. It was honest. It showed human mistakes as well as alien ones. It became required reading in schools across the galaxy. She lived to see peace become normal, to see a generation grow up who only knew the war from history classes. She died at age 78, surrounded by family. Her last words were about Kang Dae-ho. "Tell them he was a good man. Tell them his death mattered. Tell them we never forgot." The galaxy remembered. Every year on the anniversary of the execution, all member species of the Assembly observed a moment of silence. They remembered the diplomat who died trying to save a child. They remembered the war that followed. They remembered the cost of arrogance and the price of justice. And humanity stood as equals among the stars, having earned their place not through submission but through strength, sacrifice, and an unwillingness to accept injustice. They had shown the galaxy that some things were worth fighting for, that some principles were worth dying for. The old council had ruled through power and tradition. The new assembly governed through consent and equality. It was not perfect. Nothing created by imperfect beings could be, but it was better. And it was built on the foundation of 50 million human lives and the memory of one diplomat who refused to apologize for doing what was right.